The South African artillery was proving to be the decisive weapon of the war. With recce's and artillery observers reporting their every move, the FAPLA brigades were shelled whenever they emerged from their underground bunkers. Consequently, the advance against Mavinga, which had appeared so threatening, had been reduced to a standstill, and FAPLA's 47 Brigade, which had spearheaded the assault by passing south of the source of the Lomba, was now in a very vulnerable position. With the Lomba River between itself and any reinforcements, it would clearly be the target for the prowling packs of Ratels from 61 Mech. FAPLA's main priority now was to extract 47 Brigade from its exposed position on the southern bank of the Lomba River. The 47 Brigade was low on supplies of ammunition and fuel, and they had many men wounded by the incessant South African artillery. On the 30th of September, small elements of 47 Brigade managed to link up with 59 Brigade and get some limited supplies. Things were critical, however, and 47 would have to get back on the north bank soon, before they were trapped by the SADF. The brigade commander was not happy with the order to withdraw, however, as his troops were well entrenched in an area of deep bush, and he feared that the brigade would be caught and destroyed in the open shaughnas on either side of the river. Orders were orders, however, and 47 Brigade began constructing a log corduroy road over the swamplands leading to the river. This was necessary to carry the many heavy vehicles across the marshy ground. Colonel Ferreira was waiting for the right opportunity to unleash 61 Mech, and with 47 Brigade vehicles beginning to line up at the crossing, he gave the order for Boxsmith and his men to go in and destroy the enemy in a decisive clash on October the 3rd. The 47 Brigade continued with their frantic efforts to finish the causeway before the South Africans attacked. They brought up a Soviet TMM mobile bridge to bridge the river itself. However, FAPLA was under artillery fire the whole time, day and night. "61 Mech was meanwhile using the darkness to move in for the kill. By the morning of the 3rd of October, the bridge was complete, but 47 Brigade had not been able to cross yet. Men and vehicles were starting to move towards the bridge. When 61 Mech arrived on the battlefield. With over 50 Ratel fighting vehicles under his command, Commandant Smith issued orders to attack. The Ratel 90s of C Squadron would lead the attack, with the mechanized infantry Ratels right behind. Though the tactical situation was looking good, Commandant Smith was fully aware that the 350 men under his command were attacking 1,200 men supported by tanks and heavy artillery. The arrival of the Ratels of 61 Mech caused the FAPLA infantry to panic and abandon their trucks and vehicles and flee on foot towards the bridge. The FAPLA tanks, however, moved off to battle against the thin-skinned Ratels. packs, the Ratel 90s bracketed the attacking T-54s and T-55 with shells at ranges of 20 meters or less. In spite of their maneuverability, they were outgunned, and high explosive shells came within inches of the Ratels being completely obliterated in the thick bush. They attacked and retreated, until by 11 o'clock, C Squadron had knocked out 5 enemy tanks, often needing 6 to 8 shells before the tanks started to burn. With 47 Brigade in dire straits, 59 Brigade, situated across the river, began heavy shelling of the South Africans to aid their comrades. As 61 Mech pushed on through the barrage, this caused even more FAPLA infantry to flee towards the bridge. In a desperate attempt to stave off defeat, FAPLA sent every available aircraft from Kutukanval and Manong to bomb the South Africans. Luck was on the side of 61 Mech that day, however, as no men or vehicles were hit by the ferocious enemy bombardment. With relentless aggression, 61 Mech broke through the outlying defences and into the enemy's entrenched positions. The mechanized infantry poured out of the Ratel 20s to eliminate any remaining FAPLA. By 12 o'clock, the Ratels had used up so much ammunition that Commandant Smith pulled them back to reload and regroup. In addition to their 90mm high explosive anti-tank shells, the Ratels also had to refill the gas in their gun recoil systems. So intense was the fighting. At 2 o'clock, the South African Air Force hit 59 Brigade across the river. Whilst the G5s kept up the relentless pressure of 47 Brigade. Minutes later, C Squadron, reinforced with the anti-tank squadron, re-entered the fray. It was during one of these unequal combats between rifle and tank that the South Africans suffered their only fatality of the day. A 100mm shell from a T-55 ricocheted off the floor and penetrated the Ratel of Lieutenant Hind, killing him instantly. The tank was destroyed and the attack went on. By now, cohesion within 47 Brigade began to break down, as all men and vehicles made a frantic rush for the improvised bridge. few vehicles got away until a T-54 tank and an SA-9 missile launcher arrived at the bridge at the same time. When they collided in the confusion, the tank got stuck and stopped all further traffic on the bridge. In spite of the favourable tactical situation, the South Africans were forced to withdraw for fresh ammunition one last time. The 59 Brigade and the Megs kept up the bombardment throughout the day. Whereas visibility was 10 to 20 meters in the morning, the volume of incoming fire had cleared the battlefield of trees and shrubs as the Ratels pushed the remaining elements of 47 Brigade out of their positions and into the open Shona. With organised resistance effectively over, the remaining FAPLA abandoned their vehicles and fled on foot into the open ground surrounding the bridge. The Ratels were hot on their heels and poured cannon and machine gun fire into the exposed infantry, whilst the artillery completed the devastation with launches of multiple rocket barrages. The helpless infantry, over 600, were killed. Lieutenant Kuish of the anti-tank squadron led the final attack of the day. Whilst Major David Lotte was trying to recover Lieutenant Heinz' crippled Ratel, he was ambushed by a T-55. Kuish fired first, however, and picked up his third tank kill of the campaign. Kuish added a ZSU-23 self-propelled anti-aircraft gun to his score as the day's fighting came to an end. Though some had escaped across the river, FAPLA's 47 Brigade was, for all intents and purposes, completely destroyed. It had lost over 900 men killed and wounded, and over 130 vehicles, most of them abandoned, leaving no one in any doubt as to the outcome of the battle. It was the most decisive clash of the entire war, an entire brigade destroyed for the loss of a single man. Seldom before had such large amounts of advanced weaponry been abandoned on the battlefield. The biggest prize of all was a complete SA-8 missile launcher and attached vehicles, the first of its kind captured by the West. Jonas Savimbi wanted to give it to his CIA allies, but the SADF would have none of it. They had destroyed 47 Brigade, so they would keep the SA-8. With 47 Brigade destroyed, 59 and 21 Brigades withdrew from their bridgeheads north of the Lomba River in order to escape meeting a similar fate. The SADF now had the Lomba River between itself and its enemies, and there was a rush as all units strove to drive around the source of the Lomba and catch the remaining brigades before they escaped. In the confusion, a unit of 61 Mech broke the cardinal rule of travelling in daylight hours and paid a heavy price. Let's hear about it from someone who was there.
In the end, after this maneuver, we were so close to Kwetugunaval that from a MiG taxiing on the runway until it was above us ready to throw its bombs, it was something like 3 minutes or something like that. You know, we were very close to them. And during this stage, at one morning, you know, we were traveling right through the night, and when the sun came up, we were still traveling. and everyone knew that was extremely dangerous, but our command had got lost, so he carried on traveling. And you cannot just stop, you have to follow them, otherwise you get lost. You don't know where you're going to, you don't know anything, you just travel in the convoy. So what happened at this stage was he explained to us that we had to wait where we were, and he went forward. He didn't give clear instructions, he just said wait. At that stage, some of us decided that we were going to camo the vehicles. The problem with that was if you do camo the vehicle, the camo net gets stuck in the bushes and in the vehicle and everywhere. You cannot just roll it up within 5 minutes and get going again. It takes a while to clear this up again. So we were not sure. If he came back and said rush, go, then we would not be able to. But on the other hand, while we were sitting there, we were totally exposed. So a few of us decided that we were not taking the risk, we were going to camo it anyway. I was busy camoing, rolling out the net and putting in bushes and stuff when I heard fighter aircraft. And at that stage, because of our experiences, when you hear fighter aircraft, it's extreme danger. So while I was standing on top of the truck camoing, I heard this. When I looked up, I saw one aircraft flying very low and very slow coming over us. Basically the direction we were traveling in, he came in the opposite direction over us. And I stood there and I watched, and I didn't hear him turn around or anything, so I got the impression that because he was so low, he was looking maybe further out from the aircraft and he didn't see us right below him. But what I didn't know was that he did spot us. And what I heard afterwards was that this was a Russian pilot. And then he turned around, he radioed in, and when he came in for the second run, there was already a whole, Afrikaans they call it the escadron. I'm not sure what you call it in English. A whole group of airplane already bombed up and taking off and ready on their way towards us. As I said, we were not so far from Kutu-Kanaval at that stage, so they could reach us quite quickly. Then when he came in for the second run, I just climbed off the truck. I was standing next to the truck, and I saw the aircraft coming in. At that stage, we were traveling all night. We were all of us extremely tired. The dust, there's fine dust, and the dust sits in your eyes. It causes mud, and you rub your eyes. You in a bit of a state. But anyway, I was standing there and I was watching this Mech come over. I think it was a MiG-21 or MiG-23. I'm not absolutely sure. And I saw the bomb underneath it detach, and it started falling slowly. It was quite a big bomb. It was either 500-pound or 1,000-pound bomb. And it was falling for a while, and then I saw a parachute behind it deploy. And at that stage, I'm not sure if it was the tiredness or the whatever, but I was just stuck there. I was just standing watching and didn't register what was going on. So I saw this bomb fall, and then it exploded. It was one massive explosion. From where I stood, I would guess about 100 meters, just a ball of flame. And then after that, I heard somebody screaming. And only then did it start, registering, this was going on. I was standing there right next to a truck full of ammunition, just watching this. And then I rushed in. The bomb hit just behind the turret on the body of the Ratel, and it went in. It was so big, the explosion, that it broke we call it the romp, and it went in. Okay. The guy that was taking the water, the gunner, if I can quickly explain, this part of his leg was shot away. Only the tendon at the back was there, and the piece of the leg that was, it was like he had his boots and his socks and everything on. It went through his browns, his socks and his boots like a knife through butter. It was cut clean. There wasn't even threads or anything sticking out. It was clean cut. And the part of the leg, that was cut off, you could see the bones and the fat and the flesh sticking out. But anyway, he was the guy that was screaming. The driver that was lying inside, the jager, the shrapnel of the explosion pierced his body all over. For example, in the back of his head, there was a piece of shrapnel that went into the floor, underneath the grid, and then ricocheted into his head. As I said, Duncan Taylor took him out, and he carried him away a few meters. And then I rocked up there, I took a stretcher and I ran there, and then we put him on the stretcher, and then the medics came and they started helping him. So Frikkie was lying there, his beard was singed by the explosion, and he was full of holes. You could see the holes, and you see the blood spreading around it. And he was pleading with us to help him. He was moaning of the pain and pleading with us to help him. And we were just watching him. There was nothing we could do. We tried to console him a little bit and tell him, be patient, help is on its way and stuff like that, but it wasn't real much of a help. And also because we were so far into Angola and we couldn't have air support, the choppers could only come in at night to Casevac. We call it Casevac casualty evacuation. So it took him about 8 hours to die. and only after nightfall the choppers came in, so he was already dead by then. The other guy, I cannot remember his name right now, the gunner that lost his foot, he was also lying there in pain, and because we used to casevac all our injured and all our dead, they just left it there to rot. So the flies were terrible, there was yes, it was bad. So we tried to make it as comfortable as possible for them. But for example, Frikkie, they gave him 3 morphine injections before he could really lie still. They could work with him. But yes, that's the way things worked out. There was bad things, and in some miraculous way, it worked out well as well.
The town of Cuto Carnaval, with its iconic water tower, now became the focus of the battle. The town and its vital airstrip would need to be neutralized if the South Africans wanted to forestall any future offensives against Mavinga and Jamba. The bombing of the Ratel on October the 9th had highlighted how dangerous it would be for the South Africans to operate so close to an active enemy airfield. Furthermore, in addition to the danger of ground attack, the presence of MiG-23 fighters at Cuto Carnaval made it almost impossible for the South African Air Force to fly with maximum efficiency. The enemy MiGs could loiter for close to an hour, whereas the South African Mirages were operating at close to their maximum range. FAPLA attack and transport helicopters were also present at the base. Whilst light and medium transport planes would fly in from Manong to bring in vital supplies and extricate wounded personnel. If the South Africans were going to continue fighting in southeast Angola, the airfield at Cuto Carnaval would have to be neutralized. Members of 5 Reconnaissance Commando infiltrated through the thick bush until they reached a position north of the Chambinga River, from where they would have a direct view of the runway. Quebec Battery moved to within striking distance of the vital town, following the withdrawal of 59 Brigade. The night of the 14th of October, they began a bombardment of the FAPLA-held town that would not let up for nearly a year. Some of the first targets hit were the forward command posts and enemy headquarters. It was now no longer just the privates and enlisted men dying in the fighting. Senior officers and support personnel would also be facing daily bombardment. On the 23rd of October 1987, my brother Brian celebrated his 3rd birthday party, his last as an only child. The next day, the South African Air Force planned their own surprise party for FAPLA. 4 Mirages took off in the afternoon, heading for Cuto Carnaval. They flew low as always, but made sure that they were high enough to be picked up by the radars at Cuto. The MiGs took the bait and left their protective hangars to do battle with the Mirages. They were being watched by the recce's, however. At precisely the right moment, the artillery let loose. Whilst the Mirages turned around and headed home to Grootegeluk. The shelling of the airfield continued, and by October the 26th, 1 MiG fighter and 2 MiL-24 helicopters had been destroyed. More importantly, the airfield at Cuto Carnaval was cratered and no longer active. The Angolan aircraft would now have to operate from Manong, 175 kilometers and 17 flying minutes away. The moment had been reached for the South African Defence Force to begin an offensive of their own.